but divorce is the new way to generate real estate listings, because unfortunately it's a growing market niche. Not something we want to celebrate, obviously, not something we want to wish upon people, but it is causing a lot of home sellers to put their home on the market. You mentioned you guys were dealing with that. You're seeing a lot of that happen in people selling or refinancing.
Yes, I'm actually getting a few referrals from divorce attorneys who have clients in that situation, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's what we're dealing with right now.
And a lot of times, they're in a position where they need to sell the property because it's a marital asset. They need to split up the equity if there is equity. And that was one of the things a lot of people, and I've had Boss Origi and Hogue, and they do divorce, and I've had them on the show, and I've talked to Chris about this, and he said, interestingly, a lot of people didn't divorce for the last couple of years. They didn't have equity. They had nothing to split. So what's the point of spending all the money to divorce and then having to take a loss on the house? So they would almost just kind of grind it out or live separate lives or stay separated but not officially divorced. And now that home values have risen the last couple of years, and they've risen enough for a lot of people to be break even or better, there's a surge of people saying, okay, let's end it, and let's sell the house and split our monies. And so it's a growing market niche. And a lot of studies show that specifically, when an economy is bad, people would think that people divorce, and it's actually a lot of the statistics show opposite of that, because people are like, okay, now's not the time to do that. Now's the time to hunker down and just deal with what I got and roll with it and bear it out, But now that people have equity again, they're starting to make a little bit extra money. They got money to do some, surgery or whatever they want to do to, keep themselves looking great. You're seeing, it's a growing niche, and I think it's an interesting thing because, I tell our clients, and we deal with a lot where, we'll get the husband that'll call us or the wife that'll call us, and it's really tough because they're both our client, and it's clear that they don't get along very well anymore, or else they wouldn't be getting a divorce. So we have to walk this fine line where we have to have a responsibility, by law to both parties. And one of them might be a friend, one of them might be someone that was introduced to us or heard us on radio, and then the other one's going to be skeptical of us. But, I always tell people, that are thinking about this, look, we have to communicate with both of you and work with you both fairly, so please let us have that opportunity. We're not going to take sides, Our goal is the same goal that you guys have, which is to sell the home and get you the most money so you can kind of start your life over. But it's an interesting...
And as quickly and
as painlessly as possible, And I think quick, it's where our guaranteed sale comes in a lot of times for people that they need that quick. They need the Band-Aid ripped off. They need it to be quick. And it's one of those reasons why we can boast that we can sell the home in 29 days. Granted, they follow some steps and with our program. But nonetheless, it's one of those scenarios where as a realtor, we're put in a really tough position, because if you're a divorce attorney, you're only working with one of the parties and the attorney for the other side. If you're the real estate agent, you've got to deal with both of them. And I always tell people, if you're going through that scenario, don't just assume that your realtor has an alignment to one of the other parties. I mean, they have a responsibility to both of you. They have to treat you both fairly. They have to communicate with you both effectively. And but you have to be comfortable with having a conversation with them to say, hey, look, we're going through a divorce. I want to make sure you communicate with this person as much as you communicate with this person. Because we are kind of stuck in the middle, and we have to deal with the drama. I sometimes joke that we should get a degree in psychology or become a psychiatrist, because we're half therapists, half real estate agents sometimes, where our conversations with our clients roll into things that have absolutely nothing to do with real estate, and they're in this really awkward position. So don't put your realtor in that awkward position, but it's going to happen, and I think it takes a unique experience. And we worked with gobs and gobs of people going through divorce, and we've got a unique way of how to handle it, how to communicate, and how to document everything so each party gets communicated with. But as a divorcing couple, the house is something you probably need to think about selling. And I think that one of the things that we sometimes find is that one spouse, the husband has a preferred realtor, and then the wife has a preferred realtor, and we're both going to interview for the job, and the husband doesn't want to hire the wife's realtor, and the wife doesn't want to hire the husband's realtor, because it's just plain and simple. They just don't like each other anymore, and they can't get along. So I always tell people even if you have to involve your attorneys a little bit, maybe do your best to fine tune who you're going to go with before you start jumping through the he said she said you know, measuring contest between which realtor you should go with, you know, amicably agree on that, because doing anything else, you know, because then what happens is, you know, then you're going to have challenge and say, oh, this person did this and this person did that. And it's another reason why that personal connection, that personal friend may not be the right realtor, you know, in that situation. Because, you know, let's say, for example, I'm really good friends with the husband, okay? Is the wife going to trust me?
Right.
You know, it's almost like you need someone outside of your familial sphere relationship, you know, and we work in a lot of those situations. Clients will call us and say, hey, look, you know, I've got a friend that's a realtor, but I don't want to go with them because it's a, you know, interesting situation, and we welcome the opportunity to work in those scenarios where we don't have a friend relationship with the person. I think it makes a lot of sense sometimes, and I think not just divorcing, but I think too often people end up hiring a realtor just because they know them, not because that they're the best that they could have. And I relate it to whether it's an attorney or a doctor. You know, if you had to have heart surgery, most important, you know, organ in your body, and your neighbor was a heart surgeon and maybe dabbled in it, every once in a while he does a heart surgery on the weekend, you know, would you go with him? Or would you go with the guy that's performed thousands of heart surgeries that's got a system for it that provides the best service?
I'll take that second guy.
Yeah, and I think most people, you'd expect most people would, but there are a lot of people that don't. And I mean, a real estate transaction today, you know, quite frankly, is like a heart surgery. It's your most important asset, probably one of the most expensive things you're ever going to buy. And, you know, if you go with the guy that, you know, that you drink with every Tuesday night just because he's your guy, but he doesn't have the right systems, doesn't spend the money on marketing, you went with him just because you know him, did you really make the right choice for your family, for your family's, you know, equity, you know, for your financial position, you know, all those types of things? And it really comes back to bite people. I mean, we sell, you know, more than 30% of the listings that we sell were listed with other people before we sold them. And those homeowners lost equity because they went with somebody that maybe didn't have the experience, or maybe didn't have the marketing system, or maybe wasn't honest with them on the price. You know, maybe told them an inflated number just to get the listing. And homeowners lose, you know, thousands of dollars in equity in those scenarios when they go with the wrong realtor, and then they have to go with someone new. Then the home's been on the market a while. So, you know, I always tell people, really, you know, vet out who you're going to hire. Don't just go with somebody you know. And that's not to say that you can't go with somebody you know if they're really good at what they do and they can back it up. But it's tough, and I see a lot of people make that mistake. And divorcing couples are a great example of a scenario where you can really do your due diligence, but I think all buyers and sellers really need to look into, okay, who am I having represent me in this sale or in this purchase? Why am I working with them besides, you know, I met them at a gas station? You know, what is it about them that's going to get me an advantage? You know, so